Welcome back to Locker Room Dads. Today, you guys are in for a real treat. We have a dad who's done it all. He's been to the Pro Bowl and, most importantly, to the Super Bowl. He casually beat the New England Patriots in Super Bowl 52 and was named MVP of the game. Welcome to the show, Nick Foles.
Thanks for having me on. I'm excited for this.
Nick, we're excited to have you on Locker Room Dads, where we talk about being a dad, living life, and learning along the way. So it's a fun one to have you here and start this off right.
All right, let's roll.
So we're going to jump into this, Nick, here with your athletic career. You're a sports guy through and through. Where did it all start for you? Was football your first love?
Yeah, I would say like growing up in Texas, my dad put a football in my hand maybe the day I was born. There's a picture of me holding a little football, and the love of football started out really young, going to the University of Texas football games, going at halftime underneath the stadium or on the side of the stadium and throwing the football all halftime, going back and watching the game and yelling. And then growing up in Westlake, where Westlake High School is known for its football, even more so now
Heck yeah, they are.
with winning, I think like two or three state championships in a row, sending out great players, Hall of Fame head coach that's been there that just retired. It was just always a part of life. But most importantly, playing all the other sports was so important in my life, like karate, golf, tennis, basketball, baseball, like I said, football, soccer. I was never good at soccer, but really like soccer. But yeah, from a young age, it was football.
What about basketball? You always chime in about basketball and you do a lot of pickup in the offseason. I think you could have been an amazing forward. I mean, is there any.
I mean, I think there's something different. I was talking to one of my brother-in-law. Both my brother-in-laws played basketball in college. One of them also played football as well, and then played in the NFL. And we were just talking about basketball the other day, and just how when you get ready for a basketball game, you get the butterflies, you get the adrenaline, but you're so pumped up. You go out there, you're excited. It's basketball. It's fun. It's so different than football because football, yeah, you get the butterflies, you get pumped up, you get all those things, but it's a different like excitement. It's more of a locked in focus because football is about like plays that are broken up. Basketball is about a fluid sport where like I make a mistake on the basketball court, I can go get a rebound on the other side of the court. I can steal a ball. I can take it to the hole. I can shoot a three. I can fix it right then. Football, you throw an interception, man. You gotta go sit on the sidelines. You gotta
Right.
think about it. You got to make sure your teammates are good. Everybody's got to do their job every single play. Basketball, man, you can take the ball and everyone can mess up and you can take it to the rim and you can score. And there's just something that I love about it. And then it's actually been about 4 years since I played pickup basketball. Last time I played was right after the Super Bowl. I went and played with some guys at 24 Hour Fitness I used to play with. And then I decided to take a break from it because I was like, you know what, I probably should be smart. But this offseason coming in, I'm like, I got to get back to playing basketball because that just is so exciting just to go on the court, compete, the conditioning aspect. I play smart. I play with a good group of guys just one day a week. But it's just, I think basketball is probably my true love, I would say. But those basketball players are such amazing athletes, especially in the NBA. I don't think I could hang with them. They're pretty talented.
Don't sell yourself short. I've seen you on the pickleball courts. You are a true athlete.
Hey, you know what? Pickleball is a humbling sport. It doesn't matter. I've been beaten by some savvy veterans out there.
Oh my God. Well, please stay safe. Do not get hurt out there in
I won't.
sunny Newport Beach. Well, speaking of butterflies, let's talk about your first love, Miss Tori. Where did you guys meet? What's the story behind that?
So Tori and I, we met at the University of Arizona. She was actually the first girl I saw when I transferred there. She was a freshman. She was coming out of the weight room, and I was going to do my physical. And I remember later that day, I looked at her and just thought she was gorgeous. I didn't know she was like a freshman. I mean, I was in my second year of college, so it's not like I was that old either. And I remember calling my dad. He was asking how I was doing because it was a pretty crazy story of how I ended up at Arizona and all that. And he's like, "You doing all right?" I'm like, "You know what? I'm doing great. A lot of great guys here. Coaches seem really good. It's beautiful, sunny, and I saw like the most gorgeous girl I've ever seen. And then, nothing really came of it. We were really good friends in college. We ran the same group. And then, shortly after college, we stayed in touch. And then we started dating. And then the rest is history.
Yeah, and that
Two
history.
kids later, the rest is history.
Yeah, that leads into a really good story getting into the kids because being a dad is pretty unique on its own and relatable for any dad. Every dad is going through some crazy experiences. And I'd like to kind of touch on your first daughter and your first child in general and what game day was like getting ready for that because we've talked about game day before, Pat and I. It's a big deal, obviously, and a very crazy time to go through.
In the football world, but most importantly, right now, the day of your firstborn
Yeah.
child. So, Lily, so
Yes.
walk us through that. Like, were you really nervous? Were you excited? Uh, I know that you journaled pretty much like the entire time, so I can't wait to hear
Yeah.
your thoughts on this.
Yeah, I mean, when we got pregnant with Lily, we were actually not expecting to get pregnant when we got pregnant. We were in Kansas City, and Tori has a health condition she deals with, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, and she was on some medication, so we like weren't quite sure like if we were able to or what, but she got pregnant, so she had to get off all the medications, and everything went well. She's a trooper because pregnancies are hard for her with the nausea and everything that goes along with it, and it gets to a point as her husband, you sit there and she's throwing up, throughout the day, at night, and I just remember being like, I don't know what to do anymore. I'm just gonna be here to support. Like, I know how much it sucks to throw up, and she has to do it like every night. And then there's certain foods that she couldn't eat, which when we were living in Kansas City, like barbecue made her so nauseous, which was tough for me because like Kansas City's got great barbecue, so I had to like like I'd go from the facility, pick up a little barbecue, eat it in the car real quick, put a couple mints in my mouth, and go in the house
Oh,
just because I didn't want to make her nauseous, and I wouldn't even tell her because like I didn't want to, mess up anything. But then fast forward to the actual day, like Lily came into the world. Uh, it happened at night. I journaled the whole experience. My brother-in-law Evan like had called me and said, "Hey, you're gonna want to journal this whole experience. What doctors you have, what you ate, the experiences in the hospital, going to the hospital, all of it." And I'm so grateful I did because we would have for sure forgotten stories. And Lily's was sort of epic in the sense of you see in the movies how everyone's running and getting their bags, like water broke, we got to get to the hospital, baby's coming out. I have been around enough of my nieces and nephews to know like it takes time with your first kid. Now, if it's your second kid, you probably need to hurry up a little bit more. But the first time I had heard it took a little while. So, we had our travel bags packed and everything, and it'd be too much to reveal everything, but just know like in the middle of the night, like this happened, and there was a story, really funny story that is all about that happened, but it's sort of inappropriate. But well, it's just sort of disgusting, but I'm not going to say it. But I then leave the bedroom, like she gets up, like water broke, all that stuff, and she's like, "Where are you going?" Like, we got to go. And I'm like, "I'm going to make a cup of coffee. I'm going to make my bulletproof coffee. I'm gonna get my some supplements. I'm gonna get some snacks, and we're gonna be fine." She's like, "No, we gotta get to the hospital." I'm like, "Sweetheart, you're not gonna have this baby till like tomorrow or like later today. Like, we're gonna be good." And it's probably not the best thing to do in that situation, but I was just staying calm, cool, collected. Sure enough, make my coffee. I'm glad I did. Get to the hospital, get checked in. I mean, it was a really long process. I think it was like 16 hours or whatever it may be, and journaled all that stuff, and it was an amazing process. And then when Lily came into the world, we knew we were having a girl with Lily. We didn't know with Duke that we were having a boy. But it was just so special the first time you hear that cry, and you like look. I looked at Tori and we looked at Lily, and just to know like, wow, that's something that we created by the grace of God. To like, there's a child right here, and if like you don't believe in God and you like have a child and you see that, there's got to be a God, and that just continued to reaffirm my faith. And it was just so special. And then you being a father begins, then you're all of a sudden you're cleaning diapers in the hospital and doing all that, and you don't know what you're doing. It's a bunch of not knowing what you're doing and then just figuring out by making mistakes.
Exactly. Now, now, with that being said, with you changing a lot of diapers and things like that, never doing it, I guess, except with your nieces and nephews, were there any funny moments or like exchanges that you and Tori had like in the hospital? Um, Maybe it was like, I know Josh had like that funny safety video when they leave, when you leave the hospital, they're pretty much like make you watch this cartoon. I didn't know if you guys had anything funny that jumped out at you that you remember vividly from that day.
Yeah, I know they gave us like they have classes you can take and videos you can take, and I did not do that. Was very very prepared. She always prepares and reads and just is so well versed with everything that she like is about to do. I sort of like figure it out as I go, and that being said, I was super attentive in the hospital and asking the nurses a lot of questions and watching every time they swaddle. Swaddling was
Oh, that's
man,
a
it
beast.
depends.
Yeah.
Man, there's a lot of cheap blankets and swaddles that I definitely recommend to get a good one of those because like when you actually use like a true blanket, it's a work of art. And I got it down, but Lily was so good at getting out of them at an early age. And anyone listening will be like, "Well, that's just because you did it bad." It's like, no, I did a really good job. My daughter just knew how to get out of it. Um, but I was
Agreed.
just really attentive and. Tori at the time, because of her health condition, had extra IVs to get her fluid intake up, so she would be okay. So I changed a lot of the diapers in the hospital, and I sort of front loaded my diaper changing, I say, because since then, I mean, Lily's not in diapers anymore, but we have Duke, and I don't change near as many as Tori does, but I still change them daily. But I front loaded in the hospital is what I like to say. But I mean, it's a journey, especially changing, a girl's diaper and everything, and it's your first time. Like it
Yeah.
was, I mean, it's scary, especially it's like the tar poop and everything. I mean, it's disgusting. Um,
I think you're like officially freaking people out that haven't had the kid yet that are like listening. They're like, what am I getting myself into?
I mean, I'm just being honest. I mean, I could easily just say, man, it's the easiest thing in the world. Like it's gonna go smooth. It's just been everything's such a joy. I never get a headache. They never scream. No, like it. It's all a part of like you got to find joy within it. Realize like you're so blessed to have this child, and it's your responsibility as a parent. Like this is your child, so you have to learn how to do these things. And it's uncomfortable because like you don't know what you're doing, but you figure it out and you understand it and you get good at it, and then all of a sudden you start feeling good about yourself because you're like, man, that was a good diaper change. Like that diaper is gonna stay on until the next time we change that diaper in 15 minutes. It's gonna be great.
I think that's the best part, though, is being real about it because as much work as it is to be a dad, especially a new dad when you've never experienced it, it is so rewarding when you're figuring it out and getting to know your kid and get everything nailed down.
That's so true.
When I guess when did it like click for you that you were a pretty damn good dad? Were you like, this is easy? Like, I mean, I can install a playbook like in 4 or 5 weeks in preseason. Like, I can do this. I can be a great dad.
Man, being a dad is humbling. It's being humbling because Tori and I talk about it all the time. It's like, what did we do before we had kids? Like, what did we do with the free time? Like there's not much like I mean free time's like Duke goes down for a nap like all right we got free time, what do you need to get done? Most of the time in the offseason is like all right, I'm going to take a 30-minute nap. Duke just wore me out, I gotta take a little nap before I keep going in the rest of the day. That being said, I think just being a father, the big thing, and it's my focus this offseason, is always like, how can I be a better husband, how can I be a better father, like checking my heart, talking to my wife. And I think the biggest thing is being intentional. Don't just be around them or watch them or be a babysitter to your kids. Like be intentional. So what that means for me is, and this is where I'm trying to grow as a father. For listeners, like I'm saying, I haven't figured this out because I get home from the facility at night and we'll be hanging out as a family doing that, but I'm pretty worn out. And then the kids go to sleep, and then my wife and I have a system. She'll go bathe them. I'll clean the kitchen and the downstairs and get everything really nice downstairs. Then go up and say goodnight real quick. uh, my daughter loves being around mama at night, like reading books, but every now and then she'll bless me and let me do it. Uh, but the big thing that I'm trying to do is be intentional. So instead of watching my kids draw or watching my kids play with Legos or building things, like last night, Lily wanted to watch a Power Rangers. She loves Power Rangers. I love Power Rangers as a kid. And my wife and I are trying to limit the TV time and have her be more active with figuring things out or drawing or whatever it may be. I was like, well, would you rather do that or would you want daddy to come build Legos with you? And she's like, oh, I want to build Legos with daddy. Like she chose me over watching her favorite show, Power Rangers, because she thinks she's the Pink Ranger. And we went and we build these little Lego castles with the big Legos, and then we have Duke come in and he just demolishes them, and he finds so much joy in just destroying the castles. But Lily and I don't get upset because we know we're building these castles for him to destroy them. So that way, I solve like Lily crying. Lily's not going to cry because he destroyed it, because the purpose is to have him destroy it, and then Duke's happy because he's destroying it, and then they're both engaged, and then before you know it, it's time, to get ready for bed, and then Tori and I can have our time from 7:30 till 9:30 to hang out, whatever it may be, watch a TV show, go to bed, and then get to do it all over again. But intentional parenting, like being there and actually doing the activities with your kids, is my focus this off season.
I think that's really good advice.
Yeah, it
It
is.
really is. I mean, I think I learned that from you a little bit, Nick, just being around you guys like the whole season, is how you guys break up into like bath time or like cook mode. You know what I mean? So it's either you take the kids, and Tori's a great cook, so she normally cooks. I mean, you can Traeger really well. You can grill some meats on the barbecue, probably from those Texas years, but I think that's really good advice. How you guys just break up the responsibilities, like you're not pushing everything on the wife to, cook,
Yeah.
clean the kid, like do all that stuff. And I think it goes a long way from the wife's point of view too.
Yeah, that's something I need to focus on too, because a day job, I'm an accountant, and I'm working on that all day, and I also have the brewery going, and we're doing this now, and it's when you come home, you got to figure out, hey, I got to put that behind, shut that down, and make sure I'm really putting that time towards the family.
Right.
You don't want it to just be like you exist and that's it.
And
But
that's hard.
Yeah.
yeah, it definitely is. It definitely is. Um, but if we could transition real quick, I want to talk about the Super Bowl week. We talk a little bit like throughout the year, and I always ask you questions because it's such a cool opportunity that you're in the Super Bowl. But a lot of people don't realize like there's a lot of stress behind it. Like, let alone you and performing and executing a game plan, but it's also the family. Like, I don't think a lot of people know like what goes on and behind the scenes of getting the family there, whatnot. So if you could just talk a little bit about like the week of the Super Bowl, what actually takes place.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on, and I think it goes back to like even like you were talking about with parenting, like having a plan, like of how y'all want to like bedtime, like how are we going to do bedtime efficiently and be really good at it? How are we going to get the house clean as well? Like, there's a game plan. So like going into the Super Bowl week, like there's a lot of family, there's a lot of friends. I forget how many tickets each player gets, but it's a good amount, and you have to buy them. And so we had a game plan. Obviously, my game plan was I got to focus on the game. Like I got to focus on the game. And then Tori, with obviously taking care of Lily and our dog Henry, and like being alone in our home in New Jersey while we go to the Super Bowl, because she came out later in the week, had to help orchestrate like 25 people uh, going to the Super Bowl, like how it was going to work, how the tickets were going to work, what we were going to do, all those different things. So she took that off my plate of having to deal with all that, which was a blessing. And then they came out to the Super Bowl later in the week, and that was really my first time to see him. I remember going up to the room and seeing Lily, seeing Tori, seeing some family members real quick. But the rest of the time, like I was locked into the game because everyone understood like this is obviously a pretty big game. There's a lot of things that happened to end up getting into that game, especially that year in Philly. So, I mean, the week before is a bye week. You do your normal prep week that week, and then you get to Super Bowl, and you're just going, going, going. Media day. You have media every single day. You have practice. You do your normal schedule within all the media, so there's not a lot of downtime. And then before you know it, like you're saying, that you're like at the game, about to play the game.
It's probably like a whirlwind looking back on it, especially the most iconic picture, I think, besides you catching the Philly, is you and Lily like sharing that moment on stage. I think that is just amazing that you got to share that moment with her. She had the little cute earmuffs on, they were pink, and she was just like looking at all the confetti like falling. Like, just talk about that, man. Like, what a moment it was for you and Lily to share that, like on a stage in front of millions of people watching. Like, I can't even imagine that personally for me.
Yeah, it was honestly the most special moment of the night. Like it was always a dream of mine, early on, just growing up playing football, and obviously once you realize you want to have kids and all those different things, and obviously find the special someone you want to have kids with, to have a child why I played the game of football.
Mhm.
And I was going to retire after my year in St. Louis just because I had lost the love of the game. And one of the hardest things to think about then was like I never had a child while I played the game to experience that with their father, which that was my dream. And then come to find out a couple years later, I'm playing the Super Bowl and Lily's 7 months old. And right before I go on stage to hoist the Lombardi, I get to bring my daughter on stage. And so Tori was able to hand her off to me. And right before that, I got to say, like, I'm going to Disney World. So not only like that, but you get to say you're going to Disney World, your daughter's right there, and taking her on stage just to experience that moment with her. I wanted her, it was going to be a lesson because obviously there's pictures about it. Like you said, there's a very special picture of the confetti falling down, me holding Lily, I'm actually pointing to our friends, our close friends, the Taylors. They had their daughter Teal, who's around Lily's age. So Press was holding Teal out in the, on the field, and I was trying to show Lily where Teal was, and everyone thinks I was pointing to something. I was pointing to Lily's friend. And I wanted her to know, and as she gets older, I'll share that with her, because there'll be a day like where she asks, like, Dad, like, why was I on stage? Like, why were you with me? I'll be like, you know what? Like, the most important moment for me was like to be your father, to hold you with me in a really special athletic moment achievement, was to have you there with me, because that was my dream, to have a child while I played the game of football, to experience that with. And just to know, like, she was the most special thing to me in that moment. Not the Lombardi trophy, not the win, but holding my daughter and having her on stage. We got to embrace that together. And that's what's really cool. And that's something I get to share with her, to know, like, having a daughter, like, you're, as a father, like, you're going to be such an important influence in her life. She's going to watch you treat her mother, how you treat her mother, how you treat her, how I treat Duke. Like, our kids watch their parents. Like, you're such an important influence in their life. It's such an amazing responsibility God blesses us with. Once again, it's like, it's a lot of work, and they're going to go through a lot of different things, but it's a blessing. So in that moment, like, that's like the bigger picture of the moment was, for my daughter, just to enjoy it and just to hold her there. And then, to see her like hit the microphone and be there while I'm talking, it was really special. It was comforting to have her there.
Yeah, I can't even imagine,
No.
honestly, man. Like, it was cool that you got to experience that with your daughter. Everyone's like, "Oh, cool! Like, you have a son. Like, he's gonna be a football kid, like, through and through." But like, the father daughter relationship.
Yes.
Josh has a daughter. It's like an unbreakable bond, I think. And we talked about this, Nick, because obviously I didn't find out like what we were gonna have, and then you're like, dude, if you have a boy, great, but if you have a girl, like, there is nothing better. Like, she just melts your heart every single day. And I mean, Josh could probably talk about this too, like
Oh
how
yeah,
cool it is to have a daughter.
it's the best. I love
Uh,
it. I actually, Pat and I talked about it because second kid planning is coming up and all that, and it's like, yeah, I don't know, I kind of like being a girl dad, and it's fun. And I mean, to share that moment, I mean, you shared such an extraordinary moment that not many people have experienced, and
or will experience,
yeah,
but
ever. And to be able to share that with your daughter is like the coolest thing ever. That's such a cool moment. And I know when she is old enough to really truly understand it, she'll just be like, holy crap. Like, the fact that my dad made sure I was the moment, not the trophy, not the people around, but that I was the moment. That's so cool. And that's amazing parenting, by the way. And I know that's an awesome dad moment on your end. And it's so cool to be able to share something so unique and so amazing. And yeah, just being a girl dad is like the coolest thing, because that meant a lot to you and to your kid.
for sure. And talking about the
Absolutely.
second kid, Josh is trying, he's practicing to get a second kid, but
Practice. Hey, practice makes perfect.
That's right.
it
Get the
does.
playbook done.
Yes.
But like, were there any big changes, I guess, going from one to two? I mean, did you guys have to get a bigger car? Was it a bigger house? Was it like, what were the biggest steps I think that you guys had to take to go from one to two?
I think, and the, there's always, and a lot of people go through this, and I'm gonna share this on here because it's important. Like, we actually lost a child at 15 weeks pregnant, from Tori. There was pneumonia in the blood, and we had a miscarriage in Jacksonville, and we went through a lot, and it was a baby boy. We lost a baby boy, and to go through that was heart wrenching. And God was with us every step of the way. We were never angry at it. Like we understood, like, hey, this is a part of your plan, and someday, walk through the gates of heaven, I'm gonna see a young man, or I don't know what he'll look like. You
Mhm.
only he does, and I'll recognize him. He'll have Tori's eyes and my features, and be like, "Who the heck are you?" And we'll realize, like, that's our son. That we only got to meet for that one moment, and it'll be really special. And I never want to leave that out, because that was our child and is our child.
Mhm.
But then, you go through the emotions of it, and we've been able to talk to a lot of people through that process. Because I mean, there's a lot of people that go through it, and it's hard for them to talk about it. There's a lot of emotions that go with it, especially for the women. It's extremely
Yeah.
difficult for the women. It's obviously difficult for the men, but much more so for the women. So we have a soft spot in our heart for people who go through it. That being said, going to the second child, we are blessed to have Duke, who's 18 months old. He's a boy, and he is a boy. Like, he is a boy through and through. The kid is, man, I can't even hang with him. Like, he just, like, wants to jump off things and cause craziness, and he's got a great heart. He's just, I'm gonna have to really just lovingly discipline him as he grows to hone in on. But I love his energy, and him and his sister are playing well now, and it's really great. But I'd say 1 to 2 is a big jump. Like, we've talked to a lot of people, and they say 1 to 2 is the biggest jump, and then if you have 3, it's no big deal. Like, you're already like, man, I'm figuring this. It's chaos, so you just add a little bit more. But 1 to 2, you really, I don't know what else to say. Is like, man, make sure you get your sleep at night, and intentional parenting, obviously. But it's a joy, but it's just different. Like, you really got a man to man coverage. You got a tag team. You got to have a plan. Uh, it's Duke goes down for a nap. Lily's real easy. Like, Lily can go with the flow. Like, she can draw, like, hang out. Like, she can honestly, if we both need to chill for like 20 minutes, like, Lily's fine just watching like a TV show or like drawing, and we know everything's gonna be good. We cannot leave Duke. Like, we cannot take our eye off him for
Unattended.
two
Yeah.
set. 2 set. He's gonna go find a door. He's gonna go try to turn on the stove. Like, I don't know what he's gonna do, but his eyes are always on Duke. But I'd say the biggest thing is just always have a plan each day of what you're going to do with your kids. And what I mean by that is, like, when they wake up from that time, you're like, what are we doing the rest of the day? You're done. Like, you are done. Like, we're like, all right, Duke's going to wake up in like 15 minutes. What are we doing? All right, we're going to go for a walk. We're going to go to the park. We're going to do this. Like, we have a plan. Like, we know what we're going to do to keep the kids active, because they can go all day, and we know we just can't sit in the house. Plus, like, right now we're in California, it's beautiful, so getting them outside, letting them play, going to a park, going on walks, whatever it may be, uh, we always try to have a plan with them to keep them active and keep them going. And the days we don't have a plan, it's hard. It's hard to make it to dinner time and bath time. So always have a plan so you can enjoy it to the fullest.
You fail to prepare, you prepare to fail.
That's right.
Exactly. Same with parenting, man.
I
But
think the jump too, the 1 to 2 thing, that's crazy because I think as a parent you think about how tough it might be, but I don't know if everyone discusses it, how it affects the kid too. And
Yeah.
you have to kind of think about, like you said, when you have two, well, what's three? They're used to another sibling.
Yep.
But when you have one kid and you introduce the second, that's a big change.
It is. No, that is a big change, and that's a good point. Like, Lily, there's an adjustment. I mean, when we had Lily, our dog went through the adjustment. Henry, like, there's a huge adjustment, because he was the first kid, and he lets his personality show, and he was moping around for a little bit, and then he got to know Lily, and then when Duke came, like, he was cool. Like, he understood it. Like, Duke climbs all over him. Like, he's great. Like, Lily, when she was little, walked up to Henry and he'd run away. He didn't want to be around her. But now, like, he's all with the kids. They lay on him, and it's great. But yeah, Lily, it was tough, because she you give them all that attention. They're used to, like, that both parents always giving one child attention, and then all of a sudden you got another one in the mix. And I'd say much more so for, like, Lily and my wife Tori have such an amazing relationship. Like, Lily always wants to be around Tori and wants to do things with Tori, but then Tori, like, obviously, like, Duke wants Tori too. So, like, there was an adjustment, but now it works. Like, and now Duke's, closing in on 2 years old, and Lily and him are playing together, and doing all that. So it's been good. We're figuring it out, and the kids are adapting well.
I can't wait to see him again, man. Duke is going to be like a teenager. Like he's growing so fast. Like he's gonna be like, I mean, Lily is probably the tallest in her class, right? Between
Yeah, I mean,
you
they're
and
both pretty
Tor,
tall. Yeah, I think they're like 99th percentile in like height, and it's fun. Lily had her first day of soccer yesterday, which was fun seeing her out there running
Oh,
around and
nice.
figuring it out. She got to play. A couple of her cousins are playing too, so she loves that. But yeah, Duke he's big and he's strong. Like he pulls himself up on like bar stools and like all of a sudden, I kid you
Yeah, he
not, like you
does.
take your eye off him for 2 minutes or not even 2 minutes. I'm saying like 30 seconds. He's on top of the kitchen counter, like
doing
hanging from
push-ups.
the lights,
Doing
like
push-
or
Ugh.
like I don't know how. There's times where he's gotten on top of things and we have no idea how he got on top of things because he does it so fast. So we're always watching him.
Yeah, I mean, thank God I'm still in that stage with Palmer where she's crawling, kind of walking, but we just basically childproof the entire kitchen.
Yeah.
Like, the cabinets that are important, all the cleaning supplies and things like that. But
Yep.
Yeah, the mobility stage is like the craziest part because now they can actually get into trouble. For a
Yep.
while, you had this child just doing nothing.
just sitting there, pet rock.
Yeah, Billy finally started walking, and it was out of nowhere. She would take a couple steps, and we thought it was cute. And then one day, she decided it was time to go, and she was basically running.
Yep.
And I remember looking at my wife Aaliyah and going, "Yeah, we're in trouble."
Yeah, that was the
Yep.
moment.
She's moving around.
Things change pretty quick.
Oh yeah.
But talking about your routine for a first-time parent out there, or guys that already have kids out there, is there any cool things that you guys do? Do you pray with the kids at night? Do you like watch a movie, read a certain book? Any cool routines that you guys do on a night-to-night basis?
You know, the night to night things are always switching. I'd say if it was like a perfect routine, which we've done before, but like it's always changing. Right now, like I said, like Tori, for the most part, Tori will like bathe the kids while I clean the kitchen up because we cook a lot and there's always toys everywhere. So like put all the toys up so the downstairs is always clean at night so we can start the day over and destroy everything again. But it's just that way, like it's just feels better in the house. And then Duke goes down pretty quick. Tori does a great job of like she'll dance. Duke and I like we'll spend time during the day, and then at night I'm like, all right, Duke, you go to bed. I love you. I'm praying. I'm always praying for Duke. Every time I see Duke, I'm praying for him. Like I kid you, like I'm touching his head. Like God, please take control of this child. But he's going to be an amazing human being. He's going to be awesome. I know it. And then Lily tries to stay up as late as she can. Like she has so much energy, but going to bed, there's always books. And last off season, we have this picture Bible that's really good. I forget like the name of it. We haven't gotten into it this off season. I'm trying to get her into it. She's so into Power Rangers right now. But we would read some of that, and then she loves listening to like two songs on the phone, like Twinkle Twinkle Little Star by Jewel. And then there's another one. My wife always has them on her phone. And then we'll pray with her.
That's
And we
cool.
always like ask her like what she wants to pray for, and she never gives us an answer. So we just pray for the family, pray for kids, pray for the world, pray for, just to teach her how to pray. But I do know there's been times where, like the other day, I was at a men's group and it was bedtime, and Lily was asking a lot of questions about Jesus and like, where is Jesus? Is he here? And just all these really cool questions. So, and she's only 4, so she's asking a lot of questions about God and Jesus. And obviously, Tori and I are talking about that within the house. But that's really neat. And then hopefully, like when we leave the room, we turn on the sound machine. She has a little star thing that shines on the ceiling, like that lights the room up a little bit. And then hopefully she goes to sleep. But I'd say 3 days a week we'll hear her sprinting down the hallway in the middle of the night, like waking us up just for no reason. And then she'll run back to her room. But she does not walk anywhere. She's always sprinting everywhere she goes. And you can hear her little feet down the hallway. But that's a really great routine. But it's always switching. And a lot of times at night, like you're tired and I think sometimes you get into the habit of all right, let's just get through this and get the kids to bed, and that's where like I'm trying to work on it in my heart is like trying to be more intentional about that time and saying like our kids are only going to be this age right now, and then they're just going to keep growing and growing. You only have so many weeks with your kids and so many weekends with your kids until they're out of the house. Like it's going to go fast. Like
Mhm.
Lily being almost 5 is like crazy. And so going into this off season, I feel like I need to do a better job about being intentional when I'm worn out at night or feel like, man, let's just get them to sleep so we can hang. Because everyone feels that way at times. So that's where I'm working on my own heart to get it right so we can maximize that time with our kids. And then when they go to sleep, like, stay asleep. Please stay asleep. So then Tori and I can like hang out, and then Tori and I can go to sleep and get good sleep so we can do it all again.
One thing, Josh, you don't know about Nick, he has an amazing supplement routine. So I would be remiss if I didn't. Maybe do you do a little spray of melatonin in Lily's mouth, a little nighttime gummies, like just so she mellows out a little bit because she's got so much energy.
Yeah, I mean, she does like they do have these kids nighttime gummies that have I'm not sure like a tiny bit in it, and she just likes the taste of it. So she will take it from time to time, but it's when she wants it, or if we need her to take it and say you need to sleep tonight because we're traveling tomorrow. But it's not. It's like it's a kid's version, so there's hardly anything in it. But it's not an every night thing. But we definitely have them on hand just in case. Because she, like I said, like if it was up to her, like she's woken up at 2 a.m. Like I don't want to sleep anymore. I just want to wake up. Like I just want to go do stuff. Right? No, you are not waking up at 2 a.m. You are going back to bed. But I have to be like, hey, sweetheart, like I have to like really think through every moment, like, sweetheart. Like if you stay in your bedroom and you sleep when Daddy and you wake up, because she'll come get me to get up in the morning, and then we'll go downstairs for a little bit before Tori and Duke get up. I'll let you watch Power Rangers for a little bit if you stay in your room, but you gotta stay in your room because if you don't stay in your room and you don't sleep, then I'm not going to do that. And right, wrong, and different, it works more times than not because she really wants to wake up and go downstairs and watch an episode of Power Rangers, which is like 20 minutes, and then we'll have breakfast and hang out and then get them ready for school.
That's pretty good routine, though.
It is. He's got it down to a science.
Yeah.
You got any other questions for the Super Bowl MVP?
I
Nick
think
Foles?
this might be time for our fun part.
I am looking forward to this.
Nick, we like to close every episode out with a good little bit of Would You Rather. And Pat's pretty creative at coming up with these. So
I
Yes, he
thought about
is.
I thought about your life, and you guys love Frozen in the household, right?
Yep.
Probably to a point of exhaustion. You probably never want to watch that movie again.
It's a great movie.
But-
I disagree. I think I could watch it every day. It's awesome.
Oh, well, this is
you
a
might have to
terrible
change
would
the
you
movie.
rather then. So the question for you would be, would you rather have to watch Frozen every day for the rest of your life with the kids, or to have to take Duke with you to work every single day?
Watch Frozen every day because
That
there's
was a
no
layup.
way there.
that was.
But the thing is, they're only going to be kids for so long, and taking Duke to work, I wouldn't be able to work at all because I would lose him instantly because he just runs away, and
Well,
he'd
technically,
probably
you could probably have someone else watch Duke, but there's going to be a moment in time where Lily is probably, dating, and you're going to have to watch Frozen with, probably the boyfriend,
yeah. That
or
that
when
could get
she's
weird,
married,
but
and then you're going to have to watch Frozen.
I'm
mean,
telling
this
you
is-
right now, the supplement routine and the coffee and taking care of myself is so I have energy to watch after Duke. So, no, Duke's going to keep me on my toes, which is good. That's why I keep training. I'm not training for football. I'm training to make sure I can hang with him when he's 18. But my dad made sure he took it to me and everything until like high school, and then finally, when you beat your dad at like sports or anything, it's like such a huge moment because you're like, oh, I finally did it. But it's even to this day, sometimes we'll go play golf and I get a mental block with him, like, oh, this is my dad, like. And he hits it. He hits the ball well. He's 75. He hits it well down the middle, and I let him play the little bit closer tees just to give him a little bit of an advantage. But like he still can play and at times beat me. So like it's just fun when you can beat your dad in a loving way.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought up golf because I was like envisioning like you guys playing like an intense game of pig, like in the backyard when you go down to visit in Texas.
No,
or, like, arm
that
wrestle,
was
like
no pig, man, pig and horse. That was it. He used to beat me, and finally I would get him and throwing a football. Like he doesn't. I don't remember the last time he threw one, but he could throw the football beautifully. We have different throwing motions, but his is really over the top. Mine's more like 3/4, and it's always fun. But like just thinking back to those moments, like with my father, and obviously my mom's been a huge influence in my life as well. I've been blessed to have great parents. they really shaped me into who I am and set that foundation. And that sort of ties in everything we talked about is like as a parent, especially with young kids, when they're younger, like there's such a foundation that's set. It's not when they get older, it's like when they're kids,
Mhm.
like when they're like Lily and Duke's age right now, that intentional loving parenting is so important into shaping their mind and heart and soul. Don't think like all of a sudden they're 16 and I can do it then. It's too late. Like you can always love them, but like you really got to show them that love and intentional love when they're younger. And that's just from like watching and learning and seeing and growing up. And obviously then reading a lot of books about it. Is so important.
Nick, you're just full of wisdom. I'm so happy that you were able to come on the podcast.
No, I'm grateful to be on it with y'all. And this is really great. I think everyone's always talking about how can we have a more productive day? How can we have more energy? How can we take a pill? Which, obviously all that stuff's great. Being productive, having energy, achieving. But sometimes I think we get lost in the shuffle and think when we go to work as fathers and we provide, say, like obviously mothers can as well, but like you're providing for your family monetarily, like that's enough. Like I'm providing for my family.
Hmm.
This is taking care of my kids. This is going to put them through college. This is my job. And we all fall into that trap. It's like, no, that's not enough. Like you're a parent, and I'm preaching to myself as well. Like when you get home, like be a parent, be their best friend, like spend time with them. Say no to things you really don't need to do. Like there's so many things you get asked to do. Like, is it important? Like, is it really like something that's going to be life changing, or is it just something to do so you can say you did more things and you were more productive during the day? Like if it's something that is just not important, say no and spend that time with your kids. Take them on a walk, take them on a bike ride, be with them. And like I said, that is my focus this off season. Is really there's a lot of great opportunities that come to me to speak or do different things. Like obviously, so grateful I'm on this, but I'm very selfish with it because anytime I say yes to something, I'm saying no potentially to my kids or spending time with my
Mhm.
kids. Which there'll be things I say yes to because it is important to do different things, but I do think that's important for fathers out there that are working really hard and at work, and they get home and they just want to go to sleep, or they're just watching their kids, or it's like, hey, like make sure you like spend a little bit of time with your kids because when you go down and you sit on the floor at eye level and you play Legos with your child, that's so much more important than anything that they experience that day watching a TV show or whatever. That's what matters, and that, like I said, I'm preaching to myself.
For sure. I think you do such a great job of that. And I look up to you definitely for that as a father. Like you really prioritize the kids like over anything. Like if it's an appearance or, a cool thing you can do after work with the guys, like family's always first. And I think that is key. And I think the word of the podcast or of the day would be intentional. And I think we all need
Yeah.
to, check ourselves sometimes to be more intentional with the family. But with that, man, I really do appreciate your time and thank you for coming on Locker Room Dads, hanging out with us for a little bit. Josh, you good?
Yeah, Nick, thanks for coming on. Stay tuned. We've got a lot more coming on Locker Room Dads.
All right, Nick. We'll talk to you soon, buddy.
All right, talk to y'all. Thank you.